Max, would you still prefer if we spoke to you outside of this room rather than inside this room?
It's been a long day, yeah.
Max Verstappen has always been a polarizing figure in Formula One, known for his fierce competitiveness, outspoken nature, and controversial personality. Now, he's attracted attention once again with a shocking threat of retirement during an intensifying clash with the FIA. So, let's examine the broader implications for the sport, the reactions from fellow competitors, and what this could mean for Verstappen's future in Formula One. The 2024 Singapore Grand Prix will be remembered not for the action on the track, but for the events off it. This race might be the last for Daniel Ricciardo, who confirmed he's getting replaced before the next race weekend. He noted that his last lap, where he set the fastest time and took a point from Lando Norris, was meant to help with the Drivers' Championship fight, which upset Zak Brown due to his complaints about the two Red Bull teams aiding each other. The biggest drama came from FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem, who stirred things up by asking drivers to stop swearing on the team radio. As a result, Max Verstappen received community service for swearing during an official press conference, leading to mockery from other drivers and wild reactions from Verstappen. The Singapore Grand Prix weekend began with confusion when FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem took a strong stance against drivers swearing on team radio. He stated, "We need to tell the difference between motorsport and rap music. We're not rappers. How many times do they say the F word in a minute? That's them. And we're not like that." This comment drew backlash, with Lewis Hamilton accusing him of using a racial stereotype by referencing rap artists. Both Max Verstappen and Lando Norris argued that swearing is often a natural reaction to the emotional and high-pressure nature of racing. Tensions escalated when Verstappen swore during a live FIA press conference, describing his car from the previous race in Baku as F-ed. Less than 24 hours later, he was summoned to meet with the stewards. After a brief 13-minute hearing, he received a punishment for using language deemed rude or offensive under FIA rules. His penalty involved community service, meaning he must perform some public work. The FIA expects drivers to be role models and to avoid words or actions that could offend others. The FIA released a statement saying that Verstappen apologized and argued that the word he used is just a common part of speech, especially since English isn't his first language. However, the stewards didn't accept this argument. The FIA's decision became a big topic during the weekend, with drivers joking about the FIA president's sudden stance on swearing. What was even stranger was that the FIA chose to focus on the drivers instead of looking at the actions of Formula One management. FOM is in charge of managing and broadcasting the TV footage seen by fans around the world. They also create the graphics that show driver radio communications and the audio that goes with them. So when you hear a driver swearing over team radio, it's because FOM decided to include it in the broadcast for everyone to hear. Punishing drivers for the actions of FOM doesn't seem like the right way to reduce swearing in F1 coverage. Mohammed Ben Sulayem, the FIA president, has created tension between himself and FOM during his tenure. The FIA and FOM are separate organizations that both play important roles in Formula One. The FIA sets the rules and oversees the sport, while the FOM controls broadcasting rights. They need each other to function, but their relationship is strained. Things became tense in 2023 when Ben Sulayem tweeted about F1 being valued at $20 billion, a figure mentioned to potential buyers. He called that valuation ridiculous and advised buyers to use common sense, which did not sit well with FOM. Unsurprisingly, Verstappen was really upset about the steward's decision to punish him with community service. He wasn't the only driver who thought it was ridiculous. He staged a protest during both press conferences he had to attend after the FIA's decision came out. On Saturday, he gave mostly one-word answers to questions, choosing instead to hold a press conference in the paddock outside the official FIA event. After Sunday's Grand Prix, when he was asked if he preferred to answer questions outside the FIA press room again, he simply replied, "It's been a long day." That was actually the longest answer he gave during the official press conference. Verstappen held his unofficial press conference in the Red Bull hospitality suite. This time, he made his feelings clear to the media when asked by Viaplay after Sunday's race, "When did you decide to rebel and why?" Max said, "Immediately after the decision, Of course. Why would I be nice and pretend nothing's going on when I think it's absurd what I'm being punished for? Very logical to me. The media also stood by Verstappen, supporting his protest against the FIA and his punishment. The Italian newspaper Corriere dello Sport praised him, saying he deserved high marks for his protest against the FIA, where he answered questions with just one syllable because of the absurd punishment he received. The British newspaper The Guardian delivered a harsh critique of the FIA's decision, highlighting that Lando Norris could also face community service, especially after he admitted, "I actually shit myself," regarding a near crash with Verstappen and Oscar Piastri in the cool-down room. Given the rules established that weekend, Norris might expect at least a fine or even community service like Verstappen, which seems to detract from what is shaping up to be the most exciting season since 2021. In an opinion piece for motorsport.com, Ben Hunt asserted that Verstappen's performance reflected the behavior expected from a world champion, contrary to the FIA's implication. He noted that Verstappen's choice to hold a press conference outside the FIA's control showcased a driver who, previously labeled too aggressive, is now maturing. Hunt described this as a perfect, controlled response to the FIA's silly punishment. He concluded with a strong statement, emphasizing, "This is now a different Verstappen, who is acting just like some of the great F1 champions before him, and if he wins the championship this year, then he definitely deserves it." As the sport united around one of its most controversial figures, even Verstappen's fiercest rivals supported his protest against the FIA. Lewis Hamilton called the FIA's decision a joke and encouraged Verstappen to ignore his punishment, stating he wouldn't have accepted it if it had been imposed on him. Oscar Piastri also joked about the FIA over the weekend. After finishing third, he tweeted, "That was blinking warm, good race, nice podium," without any swearing. In the cool-down room, he asked Norris about his near crash, saying, "So without using swear words, how did you feel at that moment?" Although Norris did swear in response, Piastri later recounted that Norris simply said, fun was the word, so no community service for him." Charles Leclerc also made light of the situation. After the race, he remarked, "Today I paid for a, how to say it, bad quality." When the interviewer warned him to be careful, Leclerc laughed and said, "Exactly. Then I'll have to do community service with Max. I don't want to." While these jokes are humorous, there's a serious undertone. Clearly, the drivers are dissatisfied. Hamilton, the McLaren drivers, and Leclerc all criticize the FIA for what they consider a pointless and silly stance. The media supports them too, with many respected outlets from various countries backing Verstappen's protest. Max is clearly unhappy with the FIA's decision and warned that if they continue pushing pointless agendas, he might take drastic action. When asked if these petty issues would affect his future in the sport, the 26-year-old responded, "For sure, yeah. I mean, these kinds of things definitely influence my future too. When you can't be yourself, you have to deal with these silly things. I'm at a point in my career where I don't want to deal with this all the time. It's really tiring." However, the drivers plan to do more than just make jokes. The Grand Prix Drivers Association, which advocates for drivers' interests in Formula 1, stated they will discuss what actions to take against the FIA's decision. In conclusion, when governing bodies impose restrictions that feel arbitrary or excessive, it can lead to frustration and discontent, as we've seen with Verstappen's bold stance against the FIA's punitive measures. This recent conflict highlights the need for a balance between sportsmanship and personal expression in the fast-paced world of motorsport. What do you think? Should the FIA reconsider its stance on driver conduct? Thanks for being with us through this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your subscription helps us continue creating quality content for you.